Then certain philosophers, the Epicureans and of the Stoics, encountered him, and some said, "What will this babbler say?" Others, he seemeth to be a setter forth of strange gods, because he preached unto them Jesus and the resurrection. And they took him and brought him unto Areopagus, saying, "May we know what this new doctrine whereof thou speakest is? For thou bringest certain strange things to our ears. We would know therefore what these things mean." For all the Athenians and strangers which were there spent their time in nothing else, but either to tell or to hear some new thing. And if we get further than that, we'll read. But we looked this morning at the burden that Paul had. Notice in verse number 18, you begin to see the audience in attendance. And the Epicureans and the Stoics. Now, they were the great two political, educational bodies within Athens, okay? So within Athens, you have this university, and you have these two great groups of people, the Epicureans and the Stoics. And the thing that, as we look at the two of them, they're still with us today. You notice when we look at them and define them and describe them, and see if they don't ring a few bells to you. You need to understand the devil doesn't have anything new. The devil doesn't have a new wrinkle. He doesn't have a new twist. He doesn't have a new gift. It's the same one over and over and over again. Because he has nothing new. But we are bad about falling for it, though it's the same thing. And the reason why we fall for it is we think we're smarter than those that have already fell to it. And the reality is we're no smarter than the last generation that failed. It's the truth. We fail and fall as much as they did. Probably more so. And it should be worse for us because we had their good example of what not to do. But it doesn't sink in. So the Epicureans and the Stoics are at Mars Hill in this university, if you will. And they're educating. What they're sending around the world is their thinking. We're going to change the world. We can't do it monetarily. We can't do it commercially anymore. So we're going to do it with education. And people, I'm not against education by no means. But if you're getting educated just to be educated and deny God, is not doing you any good. Plain and simple. You know, I told my boys growing up, if they could read and write and balance a checkbook, they can exist in our society. If you can read what somebody has given you as instruction and put it into practice, you're ahead of most people. If you can write instructions that somebody can read it and understand what you're trying to put forth, you're better than most people. And Lord help you trying to balance a checkbook. I've seen people that I just write checks. And I'm sitting there thinking the whole time, one of these days you're going to write checks and it's going to be uh-oh. You know, it will be uh-oh. The three just basic things. But if you want to go to higher education, there's nothing wrong with that. But if it denies God, it's going to hurt you and not help you. Like the Epicureans. So let's look at them real quick. The philosophy that they adapted was life must be experienced and not reasoned. That don't remind you of anything, does it? What did they tell you growing up? The rock and roll generation needs to experience with drugs so they'll know how it's going to react to them, so they'll know how to sing about it. Sure, they did. Sin must be experienced before you know whether it's good or bad. We have that generation today. They're called artists. They will inflict the worst thing in the world on them because that way I can draw art that comes from my heart. I've seen what they call art. I've seen chimps with a crayon do better. And they say, well, it expresses who they are. Okay, they're confused. They're strange. They're immature. They're psychedelic. They've got problems. People, you can look at the painting of Picasso. Picasso experienced everything so he could draw from his heart. If that was in my heart, I'd jump off the river bridge myself. You wouldn't have to push me. I would jump myself. People, we don't need to experience sin to know sin is wrong. The Bible tells us sin is wrong. But we must experience it in our generation. We must know what it's all about. That's just a cop-out, for people that want to act like a fool. That's all it is. There's no help. They're not doing anything for anybody. They're just, I want to sin, so my excuse is I want to see what it's like. It's sort of like this generation that wants to self-medicate. Really? You want to self-medicate? Without a PhD? I don't know what two medicines I can mix together to kill me, but I don't want to be dumb enough to try to find out by accident. Hello? Did my wife come in and say, hey, you can't mix them two drugs. Did you know that? She told me that an hour ago. It would have been a lot better for me. That's why I like getting my medicine from one pharmacy. He says, well, I like going all the time. Go all the time if you want to. I want one pharmacy. You know why? Because if the doctor makes a mistake, their screen on their computer goes red. And you know what that means? You can't take this with what you're already taking. I'm glad of that. Because every once in a while they prescribe something not thinking what else you're on. And if that machine don't catch it, you're in trouble. But are we not a generation of self-experience? Let's find out what this is all about. They were materialistic in their ideas. I always think of Hollywood. I love Hollywood. They tell us that we need to learn to do everything by computer virtually. We don't need to fly to have a meeting. We need to just meet online. And they got private airplanes to carry them all over the world. Now, wait a minute, people. The Epicureans are still here. They're called the elitists. Hollywood's the main one. They lecture us on how to live. They wanted Kavanaugh crucified because a woman said something without a report. Somebody has a report on Biden and they won't say a word against him. Why? Because people, they don't care about the truth. They never have. The Epicureans, they care about what's in it for them. Coming out against Kavanaugh is in it for us. It makes us look better to this part of the population. Well, if you go out against Biden, now wait a minute, he's one of us. How long did it take them to get Harvey Weinstein? And they all knew what he was. But they covered for him. His best friends in the whole world was Hillary Clinton. That's the truth. She ought to know what Harvey was because she's married to Bill. But the Epicureans, nothing's good and nothing's bad. I just need to experience it so I'll know what I'm talking about. People, you don't need to stick your hand in an oven at 500 degrees to find that it burns. Wouldn't you be smarter if somebody said, don't reach into that oven zone? You said, hey, that's a good idea. I'm not going to do that. Wouldn't that be smarter? But no, we're going to reach inside and grab it. I want to know what it feels like to be burned. Come by, buddy. I can make it happen. I'm pretty sure we can get hold of a acetylene torch. We can get it quick, fast, and in a hurry. Epicureans must experience. They lecture us on environmental issues when they're the ones doing the most damage. They will completely renovate a culture to shoot a movie in town. and do a worse carbon footprint than 20 years of living there. Yeah. Greta Thunberg takes a boat from Europe to America, and time she came over here and did everything that she did, and they had to take that boat and ship it back home, it would have been less carbon emissions if she'd have just flown on an airplane. You know I'm telling the truth. They don't care about carbon emission, they care about control. They use that to get control. That's what they're after, is control. The Epicureans love control. They love telling you what you can't do. I love it, man. Madonna came out the other day talking about we need to stop being materialistic while she lives in a how many $1 million home and have her own private servants. Yeah. Jennifer Lopez and A-Rod was out telling everybody to stay home, and they were showing them taking batting practice in their private cages in their backyard. How many of y'all even have a backyard? How many of y'all can afford property that has a batting cage on it? How many of y'all can afford a pitching machine? But they're telling us, you need to stay indoors and away from people like we are. But no, you're not. You're nothing like us. You wouldn't know how it is to realize, I've got to go to the grocery store. I can't send my servants. I've got to go. Oh, I'm staying home. But what about your servants? Oh, they're going to the store for me. Does that make any sense at all to you? But yet they know more than we know. If you don't believe me, just listen to them talk. Preacher, you don't understand. You got to experience wealth. Why? Most people that have money end up being idiots. How many people that's had money has thrown their family away just because they lost their mind because they had money? Epicureans, we must examine this. But the true Epicureans, and this is what's different, they avoid all forms of extreme, inward or outward. They want to be as calm can be. And they want everything in life to be balanced. We got to make sure our chi is balanced. Preacher, that's from Asia. No, it's not. It's Epicurean. It's from Athens. That's where they got it from. For people say, we got to set up our room to where everything in it is, what's the word, suave or whatever. And I'm sitting there thinking, are you kidding? I just want a room to put a couch in. Sorry. You know, I don't need all that other stuff. And they go and say, well, you got to understand, there is energy in a room. No, it's not. No, if you got an outlet, there's energy in there. If you don't have an outlet in that room, it has no energy. They say, oh, it does. The atmosphere is full of energy, and we want it to come and flow. You've lost your mind. The only energy in this world outside of God is the devil himself. Preacher, you're just being negative. I'm being positive. I'll be negative in a little bit. I have no pity for them. Have you ever noticed that the story of celebrity is one of two things? If you study the death, you'll be amazed how many Hollywood elites die before they're 35. And not all of them are suicide. Some of them are just partying too hard. The wrong drugs at the wrong time. Or you see those up in years that die as miserable as they can be, where they hate everybody. If that's what wealth is, let me be poor. Epicureans, they're still here. Pleasure is their number one thought in life. The Stoics. Now the Stoics, they destroy and they reject any idolatry or pagan worship. And they taught that this world has a world God. I'm confused already. I thought there was a God over the world, not to them.